Nobody in the crowded bank noticed the janitor at first. He was just a tired single dad in a faded uniform, pushing a squeaky cart while customers sighed in long lines. But when the billionaire walked in, surrounded by cameras, bodyguards, and that arrogant grin that made everyone stiffen, the mood shifted. People stepped aside. Employees straightened their ties. The bank manager nearly sprinted to greet him. And yet, the moment that would shock everyone, the moment that would make the billionaire's smile collapse, began with 8 simple words whispered shyly by the janitor. "I just want to check my balance, please." The billionaire laughed at him right there in front of everyone. But the laughter didn't last. Because seconds later, when he accidentally glimpsed the janitor's screen, his face drained of color, and the room went dead silent. What he saw would change both of their lives forever. The bank lobby buzzed with impatience that morning, the kind of restless energy that made tempers short and eyes dull. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting pale shadows over floors that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. Liam, the janitor, pushed his mop bucket slowly, his mind miles away from the building. He'd barely slept. His young daughter, Emma, had been sick all night, another fever, another prescription he could barely afford. He'd given her medicine, tucked her into the neighbor's care, and walked straight to the bank from the night shift, hoping to check the last of his savings before her next doctor visit. He knew the number wouldn't be pretty. But he needed to see it. He needed to know if there was enough to keep her stable for another week. Liam wasn't used to being noticed, and he preferred it that way. He was a quiet man, soft-spoken, with gentle eyes that made people underestimate him. He'd learned to keep his head down, work hard, and stay invisible. But today, invisibility wasn't an option. Because today, the billionaire arrived. Maxwell Hart, tech mogul, investor, global celebrity, walked through the glass doors with the confidence of a man who believed the world existed purely for his convenience. Cameras followed him, documenting his ordinary day in public for some social media show. His designer coat shimmered. His watch practically glowed. People moved aside like waves parting around a ship. The bank manager tripped over his own feet rushing to Maxwell. Cashiers whispered. Customers pulled out their phones. Everyone tried to get a glimpse. Everyone, except Liam, who was simply trying to get his mop out of the billionaire's path. But Maxwell didn't step around him. Instead, he stopped, raised an eyebrow, and smirked. Well, even the cleaning staff wants to use the VIP branch today? He joked loudly. People laughed. Not because they found it funny, but because the billionaire expected them to. Liam looked down, heat rising behind his ears. I just want to check my balance, sir, he said softly, stepping aside. Maxwell chuckled. Check your balance? What, making sure you still have $10 left? Another round of forced laughter erupted. Liam didn't answer. He simply moved to the line, hands shaking slightly, hoping the moment would pass. But Maxwell wasn't done showing off. Well, the billionaire called out. Let the man through. Let him check his fortune. Even the guards looked uncomfortable. But they followed orders. They told Liam to step up first, right ahead of Maxwell. Liam's heart pounded. All eyes were on him, the one moment he desperately wished to be invisible. The cashier smiled politely and gestured him forward. He inserted his card, typed his PIN, prayed nobody would see. But Maxwell, with that smug grin, leaned forward, pretending to stretch his neck, pretending to adjust his cufflinks, but he was watching. And then, he froze. The laughter died in his throat. Because on the screen, instead of a tiny balance, was a number that shouldn't have been possible. A number with more zeros than Maxwell had expected to see in a janitor's lifetime. The billionaire's smile vanished completely. Wait, what? He whispered, leaning in closer, eyes wide. The cameras stopped moving. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Even the manager stared. Liam looked confused, alarmed by the sudden tension. He didn't know yet that his life savings, barely a few $100s, had somehow turned into millions on the screen. All he saw was Maxwell staring, his face pale. And at that moment, Liam realized something strange was happening, something he did not understand, something that would drag him into a world he never believed he belonged to. Liam blinked at the screen, then back at the cashier. Is this correct?" he asked, his voice whisper soft, trembling with disbelief. The cashier swallowed hard. Sir, it says your account was credited last night. A very significant amount." Maxwell stepped forward abruptly, his voice sharp. "Tell me this is a mistake." "His account? Not mine?" He tried to laugh, but the sound cracked. The manager hurried over, fidgeting nervously. "Mr. Hart, I can assure you, everything here is accurate. There must be a reason for the deposit." Liam's stomach twisted. He didn't understand. He'd been working overtime for months, barely scraping enough for rent and Emma's medicines. There was no possible reason his balance should show more money than he'd see in 10 lifetimes. I didn't deposit anything," Liam said. "There must be an error." Maxwell's jaw tightened, and for the first time since entering, he looked unsure of himself. He turned to the manager. "Run a trace. Now." The staff scrambled. Meanwhile, people whispered. "Is he a secret millionaire? Did he win the lottery? No, must be fraud. Maybe he stole something. Janitors don't get millions." Liam heard every word, and it crushed him. He'd lived his entire life trying to stay honest, trying to raise his daughter with integrity, trying to survive without taking shortcuts. And now the world was accusing him before he even understood what was happening. He stepped back, breathing unsteadily. "I don't want trouble," he murmured. "If this is a mistake, take it back. I don't want anyone else's money." Maxwell's eyes softened suddenly, not with kindness, but calculation. "No," he said slowly. "No, don't reverse anything yet." He studied Liam, searching his face, as if trying to uncover a secret. "Who are you?" Maxwell asked quietly. The question wasn't mocking anymore, it was serious, even uneasy. "I'm just a single dad," Liam answered. "I'm just trying to get by." The trace results printed. The manager glanced at them, his face shifting from confusion, to shock, to disbelief. "What does it say?" Maxwell demanded. The manager swallowed. "The funds came from a sealed trust, opened automatically when the recipient turned 35. Liam frowned. "Recipient? But I don't know anyone with money." The manager hesitated before reading the final line. "The trust was created by your father." Liam's breath caught. "My father died when I was 6, he whispered. Maxwell leaned in again, puzzled. "Why would a janitor's father leave a trust worth this?" The manager handed Liam the paper. "Because your father, Mr. Jonathan Reeves, was the co-founder of Hart Reeves Technologies." A stunned silence fell over the entire bank. Maxwell staggered back a step. "Reeves?" he muttered, his voice hollow. "Your father was my father's partner." Liam's knees weakened. The room spun. He grabbed the counter to steady himself. "My father, he worked in a factory," Liam insisted, shaking his head. "We were poor. We were." "Reeves disappeared," Maxwell said slowly, staring at Liam as though seeing a ghost. "My father told everyone he was dead. Told the board. Took full ownership after he vanished. But if you're his son..." Liam looked at the balance again, the number glowing like a secret finally revealed. The billionaire wasn't laughing anymore. Because he realized something that terrified him. The janitor standing before him, exhausted, underpaid, invisible, might legally own half of the empire Maxwell had built his reputation on. Security guards watched. Customers held their breath. The world outside the bank kept moving, but inside, everything had changed. Liam folded the paper slowly, hands trembling, eyes filling with tears, not over the money, not over the company, but over the truth. His father hadn't abandoned him. His father hadn't left him with nothing. His father had tried to protect him in the only way he could. Maxwell stepped closer, voice trembling slightly. "We need to talk privately." But for the first time in his life, Liam didn't move aside. He didn't bow his head. He didn't shrink. He lifted his chin. "Not until I checked my balance properly," he said calmly. "For once, I deserve to stand here." Maxwell said nothing. Because he knew, everyone knew, that the balance wasn't just in the account. It was in the truth. The truth that had finally come to the surface. And this truth was only the beginning.